You're watching Meet the Movie Press Halloween edition. Coming up, we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and I don't know, how about God Particle as Cloverfield 3?
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Breaking stuff.
Oh my goodness, there's gonna be a hot show this morning, baby.
Literally happening until we had to delay the start of the show.
That's right, we had breaking
just
news.
Just to get shit done.
That's us. My name is Jeff Sneider. I am senior film reporter for Mashable. You can find me on Twitter at @TheInSneider. And today, I'm a style boy for life, dog. This is my partner.
Who didn't get the memo about Halloween fancy dress. Although from the UK, we don't really do it. I don't think I could have carried off Slutty Cat. I tried last year.
We begged to differ on that one.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I did bring the rain to Los Angeles. I'm Simon Thompson. That was my contribution. At Showbiz Simon on Twitter and at Showbiz Simon on Instagram. Facebook, This is Simon Thompson. And I got verified recently on Twitter.
Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Shizzle be real.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. Kind of a big deal.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got lots to talk about.
I know,
the
you're
situation
slightly
is literally unfolding as we speak.
Deadpool 2, motherfuckers.
All right.
Yeah.
1 second.
So
you start.
You broke a story yesterday. Obviously, let's take the story back to the beginning. We found out earlier this week that Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool, and was not officially signed on, but he was certainly in the run. He was working on Deadpool 2 with Ryan Reynolds. Reports this week of some creative differences. He left the project early this week. Suddenly, it seems like everybody in Hollywood wanted their name put forward for directing this, because obviously Deadpool was so massively successful. A few interesting names did emerge early this week, and then yesterday, little Jeff here got a bit of a scoop that was confirmed by...
No, it hasn't been confirmed.
Well, okay, it came from five different sources, right?
Yes, okay.
More sources than the Colonel.
That's right.
And that mofo's got sources.
Let's break it down for you.
Okay.
All right, yesterday I got a tip around 5:45. I was in the middle of a VR presentation for Doug Liman's new series. I'm going to be chatting with Doug Liman later this afternoon. Kind of exciting. And they had just moved from like the end of the panel discussion to like the audience Q&A, and we all know how bad audience Q&As get.
They can be bad.
So I felt, as soon as I got the tip, it's like, all right, this is a you have to act fast kind of situation. So I ducked out of there respectfully. I'll finish up talking to Doug today. And started working the phone. So
he might leave your meeting prematurely. And go,
maybe he will.
How you like them apples?
Maybe he's going to go direct Deadpool too. Who knows?
How'd you like them apples?
So I called my boss Josh Dickey, who is going off to Lady Gaga's dive bar tour.
What?
Dickey spent the night with Gaga last night.
What?
I know. So while he was enjoying himself, I was working the phones.
Josh Dickey, really?
Yeah. Got two more sources in the Jeff Sneider circle of trust.
Yeah.
to back up the initial source, who has been very money for me.
Good.
Particularly with the high-profile director assignments. Good track record. Got a good fourth source and a great fifth source. And at that point, I'm just calling Dickey like nonstop. Like, when are you going to be home from Gaga? When are you going to be, And we went through the story at about 10 o'clock. We felt like it wasn't going to hold. I kind of knew that that the other trades had been sniffing around.
Yep.
There's just been a lot of chatter. And again, when five people in the industry have heard sort of the same thing, there's typically smoke where there's fire.
There is.
And we decided to rock and roll last night just before 11 p.m.
Nice. And that story got picked up by quite a few outlets already overnight.
I hope so, and I hope that they'll remember to credit Mashable.com. First of all, I think it's a good hire.
Yeah.
I did a whole list of potential directors, sort of focusing in on 7 names who I thought would be great for Deadpool 2, really highlighted by Ilya Nayshuler, who did Hardcore. Did you see that yet?
Yeah.
Like, that just had the perfect sensibility to me. So after I posted that story, I got a lot of feedback from people being like, listen, you forgot the John Wick guys.
Yeah.
And most people in my feed actually were saying Chad Stahelski, because he's doing John Wick 2.
Yeah.
Like, he is the John Wick guy to most people now.
Yeah.
But David Leitch, who didn't direct the sequel, he went off to direct Coldest City with
Yep.
Charlize and James McAvoy. He did co-direct the first one, and I think it's the right fit. We'll see if they can get a deal done. Variety said they had a deal, but that is not exactly true. It is not official yet, and we'll let you know when it is. So what do you think of the hiring?
I think it's great. I think it's a really good idea. I really like the idea
Potential hiring.
Yeah, potential hiring. I like the fact that there's a lot of directors who are very established that could have done it. But I think it's nice to see that a lot of these projects who are some of the most exciting comic book movies are going to people who have a freshness about them and a unique style within a genre. And I think that's to actively be encouraged. So I think absolutely. And Tim Miller, he had his accomplishments beforehand, but he wasn't exactly a huge name in Hollywood. And I think that actually played to the strengths of Deadpool, to the character, to what they wanted to do, etc., etc. So we'll see. I mean, we don't know exactly why Tim left the project. We know there were creative
differences. There's a lot of speculation.
A lot of speculation, which we do not know whether it's true or not.
And then you get the people who are like, sort of hint that they know more than they're letting on, but they can't
usually
say.
Don't.
So, well, I mean, even if they do, it's like, what's the point of saying, "Oh, I know it happened," but then you don't say what happened?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a little frustrating for me as a reader, as a fan of my colleagues and stuff like that.
But I love Deadpool.
It's like a case of blue balls.
And I love John Wick. I mean, John Wick, it came out over here in the US and it did pretty well. Came out in the UK and it did literally nothing at all. And then it came out in home entertainment. Everybody's like, what the fuck is this amazing action movie? Where has this film been?
See, it's funny. I probably left those guys off my initial list.
Okay.
Because I didn't love John Wick. I thought John Wick was good. I enjoyed John Wick, but I don't look back on it as some seminal moment in the action genre or anything really that great. So that's why they sort of slipped my mind. But clearly, they were at the top of Fox's list.
But as a straight-up intelligent action movie, so that really delivers the action, is stylistically, on the nail, and has brains to it as well as balls.
I mean,
John
that's
Wick
true.
ticks those boxes.
And
there are so many action movies out there.
They had a
that
history
don't
together.
do that. Yeah.
So David Leitch was like the stunt guy on X-Men Origins Wolverine, which introduced Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson. He's has a huge stunt career. And what's really interesting to me is that he's worked on these big movies that have pushed the envelope in terms of action technology and stuff like that. Whether it's the Matrix sequels or 300, like he has been there for the journey of seeing how you push the envelope and create something new.
Yeah.
So I think it could be exciting.
There were a pair of directors who were very interested in the project. I didn't think they were going to get it. It would have been great for them if they had. The Soska sisters, who do horror. No, but I don't think they would have been entirely right for it, because their action, when it comes to the action side of things, I don't know if they would have had that down pat quite yet. I think really their strength lies in horror. But there were some really nice action set pieces in the straight-to-video sequel they did, See No Evil 2, which made me think that potentially this might not be the right project for them, but we could see them moving into that kind of thing. But I also think I have a slight issue with directors who they're so close to a subject that sometimes, a la Zack Sneider, it just doesn't work. You're too close to it. You can't look at it entirely objectively. But I think for something else along this lines, they might be a really good, a really interesting pick for future projects down the line. Stylistically and visually, they're nice.
Due respect to the Soska sisters, I don't think that they are studio movie directors, especially not a studio tentpole. But
It's interesting you say that, because I know what the next project is.
oh yeah, it's a studio tentpole. They're directing the new Fantastic Beasts. You
Yes,
set me off here.
yes, it is. Yeah, no.
They're directing number 5. Anyways, Deadpool 2 got a lot. The response last night I think was really positive. It seemed like fans were really into that.
Yeah.
Okay. We can move on. Let's talk about friggin' Donald Glover, dude.
Yeah, big week.
Hit me, Simon. Hit
Big
me.
week for him. Well, obviously there was a lot of talk around the Star Wars spin-off, the Lando Calrissian movie, about who was going to be cast. Donald Glover recently announced as that. A lot of great response to that. He's a name that had been bandied around and was kind of a front runner for a while. And I think both him, with new Han Solo, etc., we're seeing a really interesting and very appealing younger cast come along in this Star Wars universe.
I think he's a great choice. Like he was really the only choice, given his background on Community. Like he just fits with that Lord and Miller sensibility.
Yeah.
So I went to college with Donald. We went to NYU together.
Oh yeah, of course you did. Yeah.
And we were in the very small dramatic writing program together.
Mm-hmm.
You're with the same people for 4 years. There's only like 50 people in the program, and I'm very proud of how far he has come from a writer on 30 Rock to Community to making his own movie with Mystery Team, which you guys should really check out if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
With his other Derek comedy guys, also NYU guys. And then Spider-Man, and now this. I mean, it's an unbelievable trajectory, and I love Atlanta. Have you caught that?
No, I haven't.
I really
I'm
like
behind
Atlanta.
on some of my TV shows.
And he's
actually.
a rapper. I mean, it's unbelievable how talented this kid is, and I think that he's the right. I think he's the right like size too for Lando next to
Yeah.
Alden Ehrenreich. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you could have like a big dude.
No.
Donald's a little guy.
The pieces are fitting together really nicely for that part of the universe.
Yes,
I really.
They're going to look
really
good next
excited
to
about
each other,
it. Yeah.
and I can't wait to see who gets the female lead.
And I think, obviously they're going to have some interaction between the two of them because we know that Han and Lando have history together. I think together they're going to work really nicely as a, straight guy, slightly comedic kind of, not totally going comedic, but when the humor needs to be injected, really, really nicely. I think it's going to be a really dynamic piece of chemistry.
He's like
there.
a physical performer too. I don't know.
Yeah.
You probably missed this one. Magic Mike XXL.
I actually went to see that.
Did you? Okay, yeah. He was good in it.
I
thought.
like the Magic Mike franchise. I actually enjoyed Magic Mike XXL. I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
So Donald Glover, I think we can agree, is the right Lando Calrissian.
To be honest with you, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't
right.
think that Donald Glover is the right choice for that
that's
role.
another
It's
sort
very
of
rarely you
universally
see
liked
that.
hire, yeah.
It's great. So good signing. I mean, it's a no-brainer signing, but it's a good signing.
All right. Here was an interesting story that got broken by our pal Justin Kroll yesterday at Variety. Sherlock Holmes 3
Yes.
has hired a writer's room.
Yes.
Not a writer, not two writers to write competing scripts. I'm talking about a whole room full of talented people whose job it is to talk about Sherlock Holmes 3.
Which can go very, very well, but can equally go horribly
Have we seen it go
wrong.
well yet?
I like the previous Sherlock movies, but obviously they've approached those in a very different way. Yet, I'm not sure I could name a movie that had a writer's room behind it that really turned out the way that perhaps it could have. But there is a trend for this at the moment in the studios.
It is the trend. We haven't really seen the fruits of that labor yet. I think the first thing is really going to be Transformers 5, probably. That came out of a writer's room. And there's a lot of talented folks in this room.
But we've seen it with TV comedy. And
that
time.
is the TV approach, of course.
Yeah.
Film has always been different. There's usually been if not singular authorship, then people coming in to do rewrites, and I guess that's why Warner Brothers decided to do it this way, because it's like, why write a script and then hire 4 more people to rewrite it down the line? Why don't we all just get on the same page now?
And there's no shoot date for it right now, so it's not like they're running to a public deadline. So if they decide that actually working with 3 or 4 writers doesn't work, they can...
I don't think it's a priority right now.
No, well, I mean, obviously Robert Downey's ridiculously busy with Avengers-related stuff and a few other projects too. So, he's not... there was talk of it starting end of 2016, then early 2017. I don't think we're really going to see any movement on this until mid to late next year.
I could go either way on this. I don't think we need Sherlock Holmes 3. The second one did do well enough to merit a sequel.
First 2 made almost $1 billion or around $1 billion combined.
I mean,
so it's,
these are popular movies. I don't feel any particular hunger to see a third film.
Right now, I don't. I think when I see what the cast is going to look like, it might get me a bit more excited. But, it's another cash cow for Warner Brothers. And I think they've had a couple of things that, over the last sort of 12 months that they thought perhaps was going to turn into be potential big franchises, and maybe they're looking at that. I mean, Storks should have done better than it did do, because that was a solid animated movie. I think they were looking at that potentially as a franchise. Whether that's still going to happen,
Storks
I don't know.
too? Still storking?
Well, look who's stalking. But I don't...
Oh my God, that's great.
Thank you. They can have that one. But I just don't... I don't know if we're now going to see a Stork sequel and how serious they were looking at that. But... Sherlock, if you've already got a franchise that with last 2 films have brought in $1 billion, you're going to look at that as something that's, more dependable. But, hey.
Speaking of franchises...
Yes, we could do with a few of those.
Right, you don't know where this story is about to go.
It could go fucking anywhere.
Our whole fucking list is franchises.
Okay, let me play franchise bingo. Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson, J.J.
Bingo!
Abrams. Hey! There we go.
No, Gerard Butler.
Yes.
Coming back for Angel Has Fallen. You're asking, what is Angel? And that would be Air Force One.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's been time for another Air Force One movie.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, I loved Air Force One with Harrison Ford. I'm surprised there aren't more movies set aboard that plane. This is perfect. I'm into it.
But a couple of years ago, we went through a spate of shit happening on plane movies. And now we're going back to doing Air Force One.
Did you see Gerard Butler kill anybody on a plane?
No, but did you see London Has Fallen? It was terrible. It was absolutely
it wasn't good.
Awful.
I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
I really enjoyed
I
Olympus
definitely
Has
saw
Fallen.
it, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
No, I watched it recently. You sometimes at home and you're like, I just want to put on something that's really, dumb. I'm going to enjoy. It was dumb, and I didn't enjoy it. Olympus Has Fallen, I actually really enjoyed, and I'm not anti Gerard Butler in this kind of role, but I just think they just fucked that up so bad that they didn't deserve a third movie. Angela Bassett has never been so happy to be killed off in a movie.
Sure.
Than that.
I remember
and the scene with Morgan Freeman, who clearly wasn't fucking there, talking to Gerard Butler in that movie. Bullshit.
Did Melissa Leo's in the movie, right? Does she even have like a line?
I can't remember.
Her being
it was just like the whole thing was like, this is terrible. It just doesn't deserve it.
Okay, listen, that is a fair line to take. I see it as kind of harmless. And I'm just glad it's not another
harmless,
city. It's a little bit different.
Donuts are harmless.
Okay,
Unless
okay.
you go diabetes.
There's another
then
franchise.
They can kill you. Yeah.
Potentially getting a third film, according to reports.
Okay.
Is God Particle Cloverfield 3?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah.
First of all, I don't know that 10 Cloverfield Lane was really Cloverfield 2.
No.
All these films are sort of going to be taking place in the same universe. I don't know that I like that.
No.
I'm not a big fan of shoehorning this, this
Everyone's got a universe
into everybody's
these days.
movie. I don't know why God Particle can't just stand on its own. I guess if you have the opportunity to tie it into a larger mythology, it's hard to resist. But then it's like, what's the point of? Is it still going to be called God Particle? Don't you need Cloverfield in the title?
Well,
Cloverfield Particle.
No, that sounds terrible. Terrible name. I enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane. I did enjoy it a lot, and I loved Cloverfield when I saw it.
Yeah.
I'm like you. Everybody's got a universe these days, and I'm like, I'm not excited. The cast is great. JJ's good enough, but I wish JJ would just move away and do something that's original again. Because he's becoming the franchise guy.
That's as a producer, though. That's as a producer.
Yeah, but still, I'd like to see him put some effort into something that's... he can do it. He's shown before. He can do really interesting, unique projects.
I think God Particle is going to be interesting and unique. Just because it's part of a universe, I don't think that's, it makes it irrelevant or something, but...
It'll probably be fine.
It does feel like a little bit of we need to emulate other studios' models and make something out of this, more than what is actually there.
But it also feels to me that when you kind of create these universes for films, you kind of open the door, and this has happened with other series previously, to mixed results and at varying levels, where what you do is you create a universe and then you find stuff that's sitting on the shelf in a studio and you go, hey, we can rework that and make it part of this universe. Or hey, let's create it and make it one of these movies. I mean, it happened with everything from the shitty Lost Boys sequels through to the Die Hard movies, where you've had an idea sit on the shelf for 10 years and you make it fit, and sometimes it just shouldn't fit. Square peg, round hole. But we'll see. I mean, it's a good cast for that movie. Yeah. JJ's a reliable
I'm looking
pair
forward
of
to God
hands.
Particle. I've just been hearing enough about it over the past few years.
I was just disappointed.
Julius Ona stuck with it. I mean, he had the chance to go off and do other stuff. But
I was just disappointed to hear that it was part of the Cloverfield universe.
Yeah, me too. It felt unnecessary.
But, yeah.
Speaking of I don't know. That was a bad segue.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
very
how
smooth.
can I? Speaking of one,
Okay, should we talk about?
You choose. Dealer's choice.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go comedies, or do you want to go George Lucas, Indiana Jones?
Comedies.
Okay, fine. 2 comedies announced this week. Kevin Hart
Oh, there was more than two, but all
Of
right,
course.
yes. Kevin Hart.
is going to play Santa in Disney's new comedy movie, Dashing Through the Snow.
Can you do a Kevin Hart impression? Could you be like, one horse open sleigh? One
horse open sleigh, motherfucker!
Why only one?
Why only one? It's some black. One said he had two horses. Oh, you know that's going in
White,
their script.
white Santa and two horses.
White Santa gets two horses. Black Santa gets one. Yeah, you know that's probably going to be in there. I really like Kevin Hart, and I really like the idea of seeing him as Santa.
I think it's gonna great too.
I think it's a great idea.
So is he actual Santa, or is he dressing up as Santa?
I don't know. I really hope he's actual Santa.
Yeah, that would be kind
That
of fun.
That would be good. I would
like
enjoy that.
getting away from the idea of white, fat, bearded Santa Claus. Like, how many times can we see that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different take.
Yeah, I'm into it. Although I actually think I would have liked Ice Cube as Santa a little bit more.
Hey, Ice Cube news.
Hey, he got his own thing at Disney.
He did this week.
Disney loves the ride-along boys.
It's going to be a musical movie. Ooh, I got an idea.
Ice Cube in a musical.
A musical movie, Oliver Twist. Ice Cube is going to play Fagin.
Fagin had to say it was a good day.
What's up? Yeah, so I like the idea of both those because I genuinely really like Ice Cube.
Who is this movie for?
I don't know.
What kids are like, I can't wait to see Oliver Twist this weekend. Starring Ice Cube as Fagin.
Maybe they'll make it more street, Oliver Twizzle or something.
Come on,
I
Disney.
don't know. But, you know, obviously someone at Disney thinks that these are great and these guys are, you know, we've seen them, as you say, ride along. Maybe we could see a Santa Oliver crossover. You know, I wish it was a good day. But, you know, you just Stranger Things have... Oh, God. Stranger Things have happened. Yeah, but
Stranger Things are happening.
Both
they
of
are
those this
afoot.
week, when I first saw those news, I was like, oh, God. Oh, actually, no. I really like those ideas. My only concern about the Oliver Twist project is that we saw what happened with Annie when Sony redid Annie.
Oh, yeah, that was
bad. That was just a bad movie. Bad. I mean, the fact that movie leaked in advance of being released in cinemas had nothing to do with it bombing at the cinema. Had little to do with it bombing at the movie theaters. It was just a movie that sucked really badly. It was badly conceived, and it was not a great movie. But yeah, so I like both those things this week. Another universe that's expanding.
A bad universe.
Bad universe is Bad Moms. Bad Moms we heard about, obviously being very successful this year. We heard about Bad Dads, which is coming out. Bad Moms 2 is in the works. And John Lucas and Scott Moore, who are the directors, have said that they want to create up to 9 or 10 of these bad movies where other bad things are created. So I would expect bad babies, bad dogs, bad basic bitches, that I don't know.
First of all, I saw Bad Moms within the past week or whatever.
What did you think?
I was not a fan.
Really?
No,
I thought you'd enjoy that.
No, I thought it was obnoxious. I did not really care for it. It had this really weird female empowerment message at the heart of it, but like it was like a weird kind of empowerment, and I just thought it was like cartoonish. I did not care for it. So, not a fan of this getting a sequel. Yeah, Bad Dads will have to depend on cast. Yeah. I don't know. We've just seen bad everything. Bad Teacher, Bad Santa. That's getting a sequel that I see next week.
Oh God, is it?
Bad Santa 2.
Oh no, sorry, I thought it said Bad Teacher.
No. Bad Teacher, Bad
yes,
Santa.
Bad Santa 2. I'm looking forward
to.
Bad
Grandpa. There's bad everything. I get it. We get it.
We're not short of bad movies.
We like to see people misbehaving.
I pooped my pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's happening. I don't think they'll go to 9 or 10.
You can't stop it.
I think with that they should just do the 3 and stop it. Just do it as a trilogy. That is fine. We don't need 5. We don't need 8. We don't need 10.
I don't think
there are so many franchises that have stretched to 2.
I don't think
3.
we need more than 2.
No.
You're already giving it another sequel and a trilogy. That's the kind of thinking, Simon.
No, we know that Bad Moms 2 is coming. We know that Bad Dads is coming, and then we need to cut it off. We need to closing time.
Please.
Closing time at Drunk Parent Bar. You need to go home. You can't stay here.
There was another comedy that got some cast this week. Ed Helms and Tracy Morgan doing Tag.
Yep.
This was a spec thing I broke like years ago. I don't even know if I was at Variety at the time. I don't remember. But it's like a group of high school friends who played grew up playing tag, and then now to keep in touch, they continue playing it as adults, like for 1 month a year. So it's the month of February, and people are flying across the country trying to tag each other. I kind of dig it. I would have actually liked to have seen Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, and Ice Cube is like the guy who's like, I can't believe we're still doing this at this age. Like, what the fuck? But Ed Helms and Tracy Morgan, not a bad start. New Line loves Tracy Morgan.
Great. I mean,
We all love Tracy Morgan.
Who doesn't love Tracy Morgan? But
hilarious in that fist fight trailer.
Yeah, I also think it'd be good to see Ed Helms in a funny comedy again.
I liked Vacation, Simon. You take that back.
I didn't hate Vacation. But, it was not his finest work. And a lot of the stuff that Ed Helms has been in over the last couple of years are really not his finest work. And I would just love to see him in something where he actually genuinely gets laughs.
He was supposed to be in Central Intelligence.
Really?
It was him and Will Ferrell. For a long
I could have
time.
seen that.
Yeah.
I could have seen that.
Yeah. Anyways, I think him and Tracy Morgan could be fun. And I just like, as stupid as the premise is, Tag the movie, there's something kind of heartwarming about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like I hadn't heard of that idea before. I think it's really good.
There's so much news this week. Sean Levy. Did you see that news?
Yeah.
Sean Levy is going to direct Uncharted for Sony. Finally, after all this time, it's got a director. Sean Levy, pretty hot right now between Arrival and Stranger Things. He produced both of those. Didn't direct them, but he definitely helped get them made.
Very much so.
And Sony wants to be in business with him. He obviously has a good track record with the Night at the Museum franchise.
Yep.
So we guess we're going to see Nathan Drake soon.
Again, that's another story that when I saw it this week, I was like, oh, and then I was like, actually, I think the Night at the Museum movies working within that, realm of worlds where you have to be really visually creative. I think he can make a really good go of that. I'd be really interested to see it. And I think it would be that nice match, as he's managed with a lot of his movies, to kind of please the mainstream and then please his target audience as well. So I think solid choice there. Solid choice. And he's not too sort of tainted or sort of, too attached to
Who would you like to see play Nathan Drake? Do you have any choices?
No, this has come up before. I've got friends that have had this discussion. I don't really know. I mean, it depends on whether they want to keep him around the age that he is in the games or whether they would want to take him younger. That's, whether they want to make him kind of like a 20s style. If they want to go for like the 40s kind of age group, 30s, 40s, there are a few people you could think of. But I think it would be good to have someone... I mean, I'm torn. Would it be good to have someone that was fresh and young and new talent? Or would it be good to have someone like... I don't know, Elgort.
Oh, God. No, there's two choices for this role. You ready?
Yeah.
Ansel Elgort. Oh, my God.
No?
Simon.
Come on.
Simon, I just want to caress you. You need a hug.
That's got nothing to do with Ansel Elgort.
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Would make a great Nathan Drake.
He would.
And you know who else would be really good is Glenn Powell.
Okay.
Glenn Powell is like a more charming Nathan Fillion to me.
You see, if it was going older, Nathan Fillion was the first person that I thought of for that role. I love Nathan Fillion.
I know. You and everybody else, my friend. Nathan Fillion's never getting a lead in a studio movie.
I fucking love Serenity.
Ever. Do we understand this? Are we clear?
Yeah, I know. And I think that's terribly fucking wrong. He should have one.
Oh, God.
Just one. Give it to him. Give it to Nathan.
You're so nice.
No, I just think...
You're such a nice guy, our Simon.
Seriously, I am a nice guy. And whenever I watch Serenity, which I've done a number of times, I'm always like, oh, God, I wish you'd be in more big movies.
You know
Casper
what?
Van Dien.
I'd like to see him as a villain, if anything.
Okay.
I'm sick of nice guy Nathan Fillion. Let's see him get mean.
If we're getting older, what about Thomas Jane? Just saying. I'd like to see him get more of that stuff.
Let's move on.
Kevin Hart?
The Rock. It's Nathan Drake.
Give it to The Rock.
Why not? We always need to come back to that. Okay. Toy Story and Incredibles 2 switched release dates. Which of these movies are you more excited to see?
I think I'm more excited to see Incredibles 2 because I was very happy where Toy Story 3 ended off.
Yeah, we've gotten 3 Toy Story movies.
While I love the franchise, Toy Story, I would just say let's leave that there. And Incredibles 2, I think there's more scope. We've seen such growth in ideas and ability and accepting of superhero movies. I think there's a lot more they can do with the family in The Incredibles 2 that's in line with where we are now cinematically with superheroes.
Is there, like what ground are you hoping that The Incredibles 2 explores? Do you hope it sort of deconstructs the comic book movie these days? Okay.
Yeah, I want to see something that's a bit, I say deeper, I don't mean I'm looking like a Werner Herzog's Incredibles 2, but although I would fucking see that, I think I just want to see something that does go a little bit deeper and goes somewhere else than good guys and bad guys. I'd like to see something built around that. A bit more,
maybe exploring sort of what it means to be a hero.
Yeah, and a bit more human, I think, would be great. And I think obviously the kids will have grown up, so I think there's some interesting stuff that you can see around there. I wonder if
they'll get some celebrity voices for those kids now that they're a little bit older.
I would think so.
I don't remember who voiced the kids in the original movie, but it's probably real kids or something, or adults who sound like kids.
I hope Samuel L. Jackson comes back.
Yeah, I'd love to see Frozone, right?
Yeah, if there's money, there's Samuel L. Jackson. He does. I think he does pretty much the majority of things that he's offered. So that depends on how long the job is.
That's coming June 2018. Toy Story 4 moving back to June 2019.
It makes me wonder why though. What is the issue? I mean, is it? Do they just want to move it to a different date, or do they need more time to work on story to get talent availability? It could be a number of things.
Yeah, I
but I would rather them delay it for a year and have a really good movie than put it out a year early and go, well, we wanted to meet the deadline and so we could have done better. You know.
Yeah.
Just me.
When does, speaking of like movies in the future, when does Captain Marvel come out? Do you remember which date off the top of your head?
Is that 2018 or is that 2019? Because 2018 summer is pretty crammed already.
I heard a little bit about Captain Marvel this week, just that they're like, oh no, it's March 8th, 2019.
2019, yeah.
Oh god,
because I don't think they're even going to start production on that. And
I don't think they're going to have a director for a while. Remember that there were rumors when that shortlist came out.
Yeah.
That there may be a decision as soon as Labor Day, if not like Thanksgiving. They would certainly get squared away sort of by the holidays. And I don't know if that's the case anymore. I've heard Disney hasn't loved the drafts of Captain Marvel that have come in. And they really want to take their time to get this right before they hire a director.
Going back to what we were talking about with Drake, Nathan Drake, possible suggestions here from, let me just find it, from Sky Patterson in the chat. Bradley Cooper.
I'd be down with that, more so than Thomas friggin' Jane.
He also needs a good movie. Jake Gyllenhaal. I would buy that, but after Prince of Persia, I don't think that's going to happen.
That is not what you
or Oscar Isaac could be great.
Oscar would be really interesting.
Andrew Garfield's been named on here. Oh, and Sky Patterson says likes Ansel Elgort and Nathan Fillion. So there you go. And someone said that they would watch Werner Herzog's Doing Anything. And I'm like, yeah. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's too old. Adam Driver, I think, is another name that's coming up. Adam Driver, I think, is going to be... No, that's not quite right. Andrew Garfield was a name that was mentioned in relation to something else, but could Andrew Garfield be an option? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. No. But apparently very good in Hacksaw Ridge.
He is. Have you seen that yet?
I have not seen that yet.
It's good, dude.
We need to have a conversation about some stuff afterwards.
Andrew Garfield is in fucking beast mode in that movie.
Good.
Good.
I loved him in 99 Homes.
He's fantastic. He's a really great actor.
Yeah.
Do you remember Boy A? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
He's very talented.
Yeah, I pushed to cover that a lot in the UK, and everyone was like, he's Andrew Garfield.
But I actually think he's better as an actor than as a movie star.
John Krasinski as Drake.
Fantastic Beast.
That was from John Krasinski in the chat room.
John Krasinski popped up to announce his candidacy for Nathan Drake.
Hang on.
I feel like Jack Ryan is kind of a similar sort of situation.
Cool. Yeah. No.
By the way, Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Heard a little casting rumor on that. I don't know if it'll happen or not. Donnie Cheadle. If Don Cheadle was like the
Ooh.
guy, like his boss, or like the guy who
I like Don
he reported
Cheadle.
to, or I mean, I'm not sure what role it would be, what capacity he could be joining, but I heard he got an offer on it.
Could be interesting.
He isn't used enough in movies or used well, really. I don't know. You know, I think he harbored a fantasy about a directing career.
Yeah.
And I do need to see this Miles Davis movie.
It's very good.
Yeah, people seem to like
Very
it, but
good.
it didn't do that well, did it?
No, it did very badly.
Yeah,
Which
so
was a huge shame.
I could see Don Cheadle working out on TV,
Yeah.
especially on like a big, high-profile show like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Toy Story, we covered that. George Lucas. Let's talk about George.
Okay,
Lucas.
let's talk about George Lucas.
Let's talk about George Lucas.
George Lucas is apparently not involved in the story for Indiana Jones 5. Not heavily involved in the
This
story.
seems
for
like a
Indiana
good
Jones 5.
thing.
I love George, but yeah. Did I ever tell you my George Lucas story?
Story time. Do-do-do-do.
Long ago, in a place called London. No, when he was in London making the Star Wars prequel stuff, I was in the Disney store in the centre of London, and I'd been working during the day, and I was like, I'll pop into the Disney store. And I noticed this guy with a white beard, but wasn't Santa, just hanging out in the Disney store. And I was like, oh, that looks like George Lucas. Holy shit, that's George Lucas. It's George Lucas. So I stalked him around the Disney store, and then he saw me, and he went, hi. And I went, hi. And he said, I said, are you George Lucas? He went, yeah. I went, I love Star Wars.
I'm sure.
And
I don't think he's
that was
ever
it.
heard
I
that
had nothing
before.
else to say. And he was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, fuck. Great George Lucas story.
That was fantastic.
There you go. Thank you.
It's funny. I
That'll be in
heard
the memoirs.
you know, if you ever do approach celebrities, for the folks out there listening,
Yeah.
it's like I'm sure that they appreciate things like that, but they hear it all day long. I think it eventually gets on their nerves or whatever.
Probably does.
I think if you approach a celebrity and just like started asking them like, oh, dude, you catch the Cubs game last night or something like that. Dude, have you heard the new Kanye album? Like, I think that they would actually appreciate a real conversation more than just being showered with compliments.
I once
That's
had
what
a
I've heard.
conversation with Tom Wilkinson about pasta in my local supermarket in London. And then we struck up a very bizarre friendship.
then
We'd
he
keep
ended up
bumping into each other in the local
cooking for you.
supermarket.
Yes.
And then we'd have conversations about George Clooney mixed in with who was coming to our places for the holidays. Brilliant. Why showbiz life?
Well, back to Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I did not see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't think I ever will see
It's-
Kingdom of the Crystal
yeah.
Skull. I understand it was terrible, and he did do the story for that, right?
He did do the story for that.
Right. So, it sounds like it's a
so
win
this is not
that
bad.
he's
And
not involved.
apparently, coming out this week is the fact that Indiana Jones 5 is going to be more questy. They're going
Ooh,
to
a
focus
quest.
more. Oh, can we have it a bit more?
Isn't that every
questy?
movie? Isn't every character on a friggin' quest?
Fundamentally, but yeah. So yeah, it's going to be more questy rather than a kind of mystery type thing. Which I think is good because I mean that the best Indiana Jones movies are the ones that have that at the heart of them, and they often find some of the best characters along the way in that. So I'm very excited. If it's more like the first three movies, I'm all for it. I mean, I didn't hate Crystal Skull. I hated the end of Crystal Skull. The rest of it was not as good as it should
There's
have been.
a refrigerator involved in that, right?
Yeah, which I actually thought was kind of fun at the time. I mean, it's ludicrous now, but it was quite fun. But the rest of the film is not horrendous. It's just not very good and not as good as it could have been. And the ending's just complete ball bags. But
We got two more news items and two
Okay.
movies that I'd like to discuss, and we got 9 minutes to do it. So
cool.
let's do Fantastic Beasts.
Yes.
Tracking at 75 million.
Yes.
Not bad.
Not amazing.
great. Can't be what Warner Brothers was hoping for. Is this movie in trouble? What's the deal?
I don't think it's in trouble. I think that is a little low. I mean, I did double check when I saw that. Check a couple of sites, and they all appear
It's
to be
early.
saying 75. It is early. It's not ridiculously early, but I think at the moment there's so much. There's a battle for a couple of big movies that are coming out this year, and there's a great movie coming out of the holidays at the moment that there's been very little publicity for at this time, which I think is great because it's going to be completely overshadowed by Star Wars and by Fantastic Beasts. Are you okay? Do you
I
need a
can't.
nap?
I'm like dying to hear what you're about to say.
And I just think that we're going to see Fantastic Beasts ramping up in the next couple of weeks, and I think we're going to see the interest grow. I think it's going to pull in more than 75. I think it would be around the 85 mark, 85, 90 mark. I think that would be fair. I don't think it's going to touch 100, but I think this is a little bit low. This feels a little bit low for me, considering the chatter and the interest in the film. Whereas you compare it to what they're expecting for coming out next week, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, where they're pretty confident about a strong opening for that.
I feel like that's going to be around 75.
And that I think is going to be around 75.
Right.
But we're seeing that generally a public is quite disinterested outside of the film community in that to date. Starting to ramp up now, and I'm seeing people who aren't part of the film community starting to talk about that movie and go, interesting. And as the TV campaign starts to talk about Avengers and stuff, and I think that's going to hit 75. I really think 85, 90 is probably...
I mean, this film's going to be huge. It's going to do
for me.
mega business overseas and all that. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I'm not really invested in this story, and it sounds like maybe it's tracking lower because there is no underlying source material, really. It's not like people are carrying around the Fantastic Beasts book, right?
No, absolutely. And I think there's a little bit of the case where they've had strong openings this year for a lot of the Warner product, but I think they're just erring on the side of caution when it comes to... So people go and go, you missed 10 million.
It could, by the way, for all I know, these numbers came from Warner Brothers to lower expectations, and then when the film does 90, it's like, oh, it overperformed, and we did a great job. You never know with these things.
It just feels a little bit low for me, about 10 to 15 million below where I would kind of feel it should sit.
Not cause for alarm.
No.
But not in
I'm
as good a
certainly
shape
not
as
reading
as it
too
could
much
be.
into that. Although,
all right.
What's the other thing you want to talk about? And then we'll talk about this week's
Just
releases.
really quickly, Johnny Depp left his agency and his agent of like 30 years.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. It's not just...
It is a big deal, but it's not a massive surprise.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's sort of what I wanted to discuss.
Should have done
like,
this a few years ago.
Exactly. It was at the right point in his career. Did he need to sort of shake it up a little bit?
And this is not to do with his private life. This is purely to do with the movies that he's made in the last five to 10 years. I think there have been a lot of movies that he's done which he was okay in that he really shouldn't have done. I think he's looked at doing sequels and stuff. I mean, he shouldn't have done the second Disney Alice movie. That was not great. I just think he's
contractually
Mordecai. I just think
there were some real curious choices in there.
Yeah.
And hopefully the people at CAA will have him choosing a little bit wisely because Johnny Depp is wildly talented.
They're a good team.
And I just think his last few years have been kind of a mess. So.
I think he just needs a complete refresh and a reset. And I think sometimes the only way to do that is clean out your crew.
Right.
Just get... fresh ideas and different people.
It's like I'm glad he's doing that movie Labyrinth. That's the kind of role I want to see him in.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't tied to the Biggie and Tupac stuff because that's like, oh, that's the Biggie and Tupac movie.
Yeah.
I would have liked just a kind of original thriller or cop movie, something with him. But
I'm sure that we'll be seeing some more interesting projects coming up because people will be really keen to talk to those guys to say, right, if Johnny's looking for something new, here's something he's not done before. So I think that'll be good.
Inferno?
Okay, Inferno coming out this week. You went to see it this week, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Wasn't good.
No, I've not heard amazing things. I didn't like the first two films.
It pains me. No, the first two films were not very good. They were okay. They were like entertaining enough or like at least watchable. I had hopes for this one that like it's like these people don't love these movies. Let's learn from our mistakes and do something a little bit different on the third one. And the initial reviews actually I didn't think were that terrible. Or the initial buzz. This movie's not good. I think it's actually the worst of the three, mainly because I read Da Vinci Code. I read Angels and Demons. I knew what was happening in those stories, and I actually loved those books.
Yeah.
Inferno, I read 100 pages and put it down. I wasn't into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's less Inferno and more Oh Hell No. I mean, audiences are not going for it. It was previews last night, Thursday, were 800,000, which is moderate. They're looking at a 20 to 25 million weekend. I mean, it's opened lower than recent things like Accountant, Jack Reacher. It's done well. In the non-domestic markets, it's opened up so far.
This is not a movie for the U.S. marketplace, really.
No,
which is crazy.
I'm just
with
not...
Tom Hanks and Ron Howard. It's as American as you get.
Yeah, I'm just not... It's interesting, actually. A couple of Ron's movies now in the last couple of years haven't drawn the audience that they should have done for whatever reason. So we'll see what happens.
He hasn't been choosing projects wisely. I don't know. Ron Howard in the 90s... terrible
comedy.
Ron Howard in the 90s was an amazing director. I mean, one of my favorites. Backdraft, Apollo 13, Ransom. I love Ron Howard, and then he's just kind of lost his touch these last few years. I don't know. Rush, I liked Rush.
Yes.
I liked Rush.
That was
but
good.
In the Heart of the Sea was bad, and this movie's bad too. And it sucks because he was in the Mashable offices this week, and I got to have a great chat with him.
Oh,
I'll
cool.
tell you a real story. So,
Okay.
I'm just trying to think the story they told me. Right. So, Kroll and I have a thing, Jimmy Shaker Day. You'll probably see it on Twitter. So when I went in there, I was like, oh, Ron, quick question. Is today Jimmy Shaker Day? And he laughed and got a kick out of the deep reference. So after the interview, he's like, hey, where's the Jimmy Shaker guy? And he tells me a story about directing Gary Sinise and Mel Gibson in that scene. I guess it was the day the Oscar nominations were announced back in like 95 or it was 96.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson got a nomination for directing Braveheart, and I don't think Ron Howard got one for Apollo 13. So Gary Sinise, he's sort of rehearsing the scene. He's like, all right, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to say my line, then which way am I going to turn? Wait, Ron, why am I asking you? Mel, you got the nomination. Gary Sinise with a sick burn. Obviously, he was in Apollo 13.
Yes.
But it was funny. So listen, we always love Ron Howard. We're rooting for him to get back, get his mojo back. But this movie's no good.
Sky in the chat saying Ron Howard should direct a sci-fi film or a horror film. I'd be up for that.
There's horror elements to Inferno. It's actually
Well, the fact that it's horribly fucking bad, or
no.
okay.
There actually are horror elements to it,
Okay.
and it's not bad. I would be interested in seeing a Ron Howard horror movie, but it'd have to be something like smart.
So, what are you doing? What are you doing this weekend? What are you doing next week between now and the next show?
I don't know, man. I'm seeing Elle.
Okay, cool. I need to see Doctor Strange.
Okay.
We need to have a chat about that.
I'm going to a Roaring Twenties party tonight.
Nice.
I did see Billy Lynn this week, which I wanted to have more time to talk about, but we only have a minute left on the show. I was just wildly disappointed and felt like I saw a movie that was totally different than the trailer. I didn't mind the 120 frames per second. It is a bit jarring, but whatever.
I'm off to New York tomorrow.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. What are you doing? I'm sorry. I'm so rude. I should have asked you.
No, it's fine. I'm off to New York to interview the cast of Why Him. So Bryan Cranston, James Franco, the director, a few others. So
that's exciting. Cranston
it's
and
great.
Franco.
It's really
great
cool.
weekend.
Yeah, saw the movie this week. So
All
we'll
right.
talk about that later.
Unfortunately, that's going to do it for our show this week.
Go.
Simon, where can the good folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShowbizSimon, Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and on Facebook, this is Simon Thompson. And of course, Forbes, writers, IGN, blah, 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 blah. I'm like a fart in a lift. I'm everywhere, but no one will own up to me.
And I'm Jeff Sneider at The InSneider on Twitter and Instagram. You can find my stuff on Mashable. Next week coming up, we're going to have an interview with Nick Cage, who's a blast to talk to. He says some pretty interesting stuff. Have a wonderful, safe, happy Halloween weekend, folks, and tune in next week on the Popcorn Talk Network.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.